Hola, hola. It's your girl, Erica from America. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles podcast. This podcast is all about helping you stand in who you are. Stop giving a fuck what people think about you. Start standing as your fully expressed self. As you are, queen, as is, there is no filter needed. You are fucking awesome. And I am here to remind you, I'm a confidence coach, a business mentor, a speaker, an author, and I am obsessed with women standing up, showing up, and creating their confidence. And I cannot wait to dig into today's episode with you. Friend, today's podcast is so good. I have the incredible and amazing Chris Do as a guest. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. I'm going to read you the bio because he's incredible. But maybe we wouldn't think I would have Chris Do on the Confidence Chronicles podcast. Chris Do is an Emmy award-winning designer, director, CEO, and chief strategist of Blind and the founder of The Future. It's an online education platform with a mission of teaching 1 billion people how to make a living doing what they love. He is just a brand designer, master business person, incredible at design, loves typography, like graphic design, all that, right? That world of graphic and design. If you look him up on YouTube, and I'll link everything in the show notes, he talks a lot to designers and brand people about building businesses and how to make money and sell, and just incredible business acumen, and obviously is incredible at design. Has nothing to do with life coaching and the shit that I talk about with women and confidence. But I found him, and you hear about it in the episode, but I found him on YouTube through my husband who was watching something. And his image, he magnetized me by the way that he looked. And y'all, I'll be talking a lot about magnetism. I've been following him for a very long time. And I just loved he's like a Vietnamese Pharrell. That's actually how we start the podcast. Literally, he's incredible. Has a backstory, incredible man. We couldn't cover everything because it was like, there was so much. I was like, we need like 10 episodes. I'll definitely get him back on as well because there's so much I want to ask him. But I saw him, I heard him, the way that he looked, what he was talking about, and the way that he communicated is what hooked me in. So he's very contrarian thinking. He says shit how it is. He's not scared to own something and say something in a way. He very much so discusses the same things that I talk about around self-awareness and self-acceptance. And he talked about Carl Jung and the hero's journey. And he loves superheroes, which Hamish, my husband, loves. And so there was so much synergy. I was like, I got to talk to this guy. And this episode, I'll tell you right now, genuinely, I mean this. There are very few people I get to speak to on this podcast because it's a solo podcast, okay? My podcasts do better when I'm by myself. We know this analytically. But when I have people like Chris Do on the show, yo, that all rhymed. When I have people like Chris Do on the show, it just leaves me, I was so energized. I'm still energized. Incredible human being, amazing way that he thinks, incredible businessman, father, partner, just amazing. I hope that you love this episode as much as I loved doing it. I felt like I was talking to an old friend. Like we could have talked for 17 hours. If you want to learn more about Chris and working with Chris and following his journey, I highly recommend you do. I've linked everything in the show notes. He's got a book called Pocket Full of Dough, which I didn't know about, which you will hear the embarrassment of me freaking not knowing that. But anyway, I've ordered the book. I'm putting all the links below. I hope that you enjoy this episode with the one and only Chris Do. Chris Do is in the building, my amazing, amazing Vietnamese Pharrell friend. You are here. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are so cool. I have to tell you why I'm so excited. Like my face hurts already and we haven't even started. Oh gosh. Okay. So I saw you on YouTube. My husband was watching some random YouTube thing. And that's what we do at night. Nobody watches TV anymore. And you were there with this like Adidas swaggy as fuck tracksuit, like matchy blue thing with your hat. And I was like, that's all I saw. And I'm like, who's this guy? He looks so cool. And then you were dropping some heat on a whiteboard And it was so good what you were saying. I was like, damn. And then I like leaned in. Then I like found you. And I just loved the fact that you have so much X factor, the fact that you love design. And I said to you, I love design like so much. And the fact that you say things, I don't want to say controversial because you're not an asshole just to be an asshole, but you are contrarian. You think a different way. And I was just like, I love it. I love everything about this guy. And then you said Carl Jung. And I was like, wait a minute. What? Who is this dude? And I just like fell in love, right? Like I was like, holy shit. You talk about the work, Carl Jung, like hero's journey, introverted, extrovert. Y'all, I was like, I love him. I need to talk to him, please. And I'm so happy that you're here because you're so cool.
Well, so I brought you in with the swag and I kept you with the psychotherapist reference.
That's it.
That's it. That's how you people. That's how it's done.
You get people. But you know what, too? I want to say, because there's so much, and you know this from the work you do, there's so much surface level conversations. There's so many people that look the part and say the right things, but then you go to the depth and you're like, oh, you have not healed your trauma. Yeah. Oh, you haven't done no work on yourself. Yeah. Oh, shit. Like you're projecting, or you're in your ego, or you're being driven by beliefs that clearly don't serve our world anymore. So I would love to start with, I probably should introduce you to the audience, even though they heard the intro already. What is it that you do? And more importantly, why do you do it?
Okay. Well, first of all, everybody, my name is Chris Doe. I'm super happy to be here. I describe myself as a loud introvert, a recovering graphic designer, serial entrepreneur. And somewhere late in my life, in my early 40s, I discovered this thing called YouTube. I watched YouTube, but I didn't make YouTube content. And doing so, reluctantly, I might add, changed the course of my life and the entire trajectory and how I map myself. Because it was the first time I felt as a complete individual, someone who didn't live a fractured self. I could embrace all sides of me, the quirky Asian Vietnamese side, the entrepreneurial side, the motion designer, graphic designer who geeks out on type and talking about martial arts and Marvel comics and trying to find that sweet spot that exists in between all of these things. And so now I've made it my mission to be the best educator that I can be, and hopefully one day impact the lives of 1 billion people, helping them to achieve their version of their dream. I feel like my tribe are creative people, but something weird has happened. You shoot for one audience and you get a different audience that starts to show up. You know,
you get a
present company included here.
Yeah. Wow. I remember I would listen to a podcast of yours, because then I went down a rabbit hole and I was just like, why is he like this? Why does he like this stuff? Why? Like, I just loved it so much. And I listened to a podcast of yours, I think it was like 6 years ago, and you said impacting 1 billion people. And then I went researching for all of your stories and the stories about you. And I listened to the beautiful part 1, and there's no part 2, by the way. So we need a part 2. I was like,
I guess that's how we tease people.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, let me just delete the 1 on the link and add a 2. It's like page not found. I was like, okay, cool. I was like on the edge of my seat, because I think it's important, especially you're super successful. You've reached like millions of subscribers on YouTube. You're everywhere. When I look, obviously the algorithm, I love it. And I think you are such a grounded person. I watched your interview with Layla Harmozy, and I actually liked her more after that, because I like her. I think she's cool. But I was like, I feel like similarly to you, I had questions about things. And I listened to that interview and I was just like, this guy is amazing. And so I think it's really cool to see someone that's gotten to the levels that you've gotten to, and obviously wanting to impact 1 billion people. And when you were able to share your story. So I remember you said that you never thought your story mattered. Why do people care about what kind of coffee you drink? Why do people give a shit about what you did today? But how do you feel about that now, being in the work that you're in? How long have you been in it now?
This work, I would say about 10 years. I'm coming up on 10 years here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, you just said like in your 40s. So you guys, he's like, how old are you? Because it's so wild when you tell people how old you are. I'm like, what kind of Botox? No, just kidding.
Look at you, fresh face. I'm 52 now.
I'm telling you.
I'm 52, so I'm scratching.
Insanity, Chris. How are you 52? Do you feel 52?
I might sometimes feel 52, but I don't think 52. I think I'm 28. So,
no.
You know, like in my brain.
Yeah.
It's the freshness that you're thinking.
You're very, and also youthful in the way that you carry yourself and the people that you hang with and the stuff that you're into. I just turned 41. So I'm like, I feel 26 years old,
Yeah.
but I feel 99 with life experience. So I feel like that's similar to you. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. So tell me, when you decided to start sharing your story and more about you and the reason why you do what you do, and your 1 billion reaching people, which I feel like you might be at already, like literally with the millions of, what do you think? Are you close?
No, I don't think we're close. Because if 1 million
Mm,
people that followed us told 10 people, we'd only be at 10 million, right? 1 billion is a
true. But
long
you
way
got,
to go. That's 1 in 8 people on planet Earth.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to do it. It's going to happen. This podcast is going to make it happen. Just kidding.
Let's do
It's
it.
going to
This is going
happen.
to take it over the top.
What you get? Well, we
Yeah,
have
I
3
believe
million.
it.
So now we have more. Um, okay.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, this podcast is about confidence, right? And I talk about confidence a lot. And I feel like, I don't know what you think about this, but I feel like we got lied to. Like, people said to us, if only you were more confident, then you would have
Mm.
XYZ. And my experience with confidence, and I wrote this book called Confidence Feels Like Shit. And people were like, why would you say that? And I'm like, because it's so hard and it's so terrible and it's so stretchy and out of your comfort zone building. When you think about confidence, what comes to mind for you?
I'm glad you're asking this question. And
Mm,
I'm going to say things that I'm not qualified to say. And I'd love to have either a spirited debate about it, or like
yeah.
aligning of two different streams of consciousness here, if we will. I think about this a lot because I think the foundation of my house is built on a house of self-awareness, self-acceptance, multiplied with skill and practice consistently applied over time. I think that's what we would refer to as confidence. And I heard a TED talk about this, one of the most popular TED talks. I think it's got over 9 million views on the subject of confidence. And the way that he described is the way I feel about it, which is one's belief in one's ability to solve just about any problem. It's not what we commonly refer to as confidence, but it's a skill. And as all skills, it can be learned or it can be lost. You can develop strength and resilience, but you can also lose it. And I am delusional enough in myself to think that there are very few problems that if you present it to me and give me the resources, I could not figure out. And that's the house or the foundation which I built my identity on.
I love that so much. Yeah, I think for me, I've studied confidence for like a decade, and I kept hearing the same, like, confidence and competence. And I'm like, that is so basic. There has to be more to this. Like, it's not red lipstick. It's not a Maserati. It's not a Gucci bag. You know, what is this shit? And I found this definition because I'm not a nerd like you. Like, I know you're like a super nerd, and I've watched all your keynotes on the nerd, right? But I do feel like I like to understand things, especially if I'm going to talk shit. I'm like, hold on a minute. Before I say that, let me look back and see if that's actually what I'm saying. And I found this definition, and it's comes from the root Latin word confidencia, right? And I'm Spanish. I speak Spanish. And in Spanish, the word confidence is trust. Like, we say, I just don't have trust. Like, we don't even have a word for self-confidence. It's literally trust, confianza. So this definition says that confidence is your ability to trust yourself, similarly to what you said in this TED Talk. And so it's so wild, because when we say, I just don't have confidence, it's like when you snooze and you say you're going to wake up at 7, you just broke your trust. When you say yes, but you want to say no, you just broke your trust. So how do we build confidence? It's like, can you trust yourself? Like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I trust that Riverside is going to work. Okay, I really trust that this is going to happen, even though I have no idea and I haven't done it before. So that I really like that, because I feel like it's accessible. How does that feel for you?
It feels perfect. I'll tell you why. Confidence men or con artists get you to trust them so they can take your money.
Ooh.
So the word trust, I think, and the way you just described it, makes perfect sense. It makes it less abstract, less nebulous, and something that I think we can sink our teeth into. So when somebody says to me, oh, I have confidence this and not in that, I'm like, I don't buy it. I just don't think you trust yourself. You know?
Yeah. No, just no fighting here. I agree with you.
No fighting. Not so far.
Yeah.
Hey, the night's
discourse.
young, so you don't know.
Hey, that's true. So it's so cool that you said that, because you haven't written a book, and I wanted to ask you that later, but now my Gemini brain just brought it to the front. Are you going to write a book?
I have a
one
book.
Day? You do have a book?
I have one. I do.
What?
I keep it a secret. I try not to keep it a secret, but yeah, people.
Well, let me tell you, I feel like it's a secret, because I found that other guy's book that you recommend a lot. What's the name? The brand dude. It's like a really cool little book.
Marty
It's like an
Newmeyer?
older man. Yes, that man.
Yes,
Him.
Marty Newmeyer. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that
Yeah.
book. I was like scouring, looking, okay, what is your book called? I'm
Yes.
ordering it
Well,
now.
when I tell it to you, you're like, okay, of course. It's a small book. It's like that big.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
written so that you can read just one page at a time. It's a
okay.
collection of my life learnings. And it's a book that you could theoretically put in your pocket. So I called it a pocket full of dough.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why are you so good at this though? Like this is, I know that, like, I listened to your story about your brothers and I'm like, I think you won. I think you're the smart brother. I'm just saying.
You have done your
Just
homework.
saying.
My goodness.
I have. I think
Yeah.
I think you were a very cute
Yes.
little kid. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, he was so cute. I'm a mother. So kids are cute.
Yeah.
Pocket full of dough. Okay. So one of the cool things that I watch that you do is that you take people's, I don't want to say negative things, but the
Yes.
things that they think are negative about them. And you do this as a workshop, right? Like you do this for companies,
Yes.
you do this for amazing. So available for workshops in Australia if anybody wants to book him. Anywhere, like click the link below in the show notes. But I love that you say that because so many times, and you do this because you know the work as well, but so many times we try to hide the things that we're shameful of or the things that we think are dysfunctional or bad about us. Can you talk to the idea, like, how the hell did that come up for you? How did you think of that? How did you flip it? Because this is what I love about you. You flip things. Like, if anybody's looking for someone that thinks differently and will say things that you've never thought of, like, literally, it's Christo. Like, you're going to do that. And I love that about you. So can you share a little bit on that?
There's a couple different things that I've noticed, which is with the rise of social media, there is so much pressure, whether it's implied or it's like somebody has told you never show up on camera like that. It's like we're all living some fake version of ourselves. We show up in the persona and not the true self. And we wonder like why we're not happy and why we feel like we don't measure up to certain things. And I'm trying to counter all of that. As a person who used to teach storytelling, there's this thing that Pixar wrote, not arguably, I think it's the world's most successful film studio. And they had this thing called the 22 rules of storytelling, according to Pixar. And you will not be surprised at this, Erica. Rule number one is that the audience admires characters more for their struggles than for their success.
Wow. Yeah.
This is critical. These are the people who know how to make hit movie after hit movie, billion-dollar office box draws. And they're telling you right now that the most interesting characters are the ones who struggle. Yet, because of the pressure of social media and how we have to appear and maintain appearances, we do the exact opposite of what we need to do to get what it is that we want. We want to be loved, to be accepted, to be appreciated, and to be celebrated. What we do is what actually drives people away. So these conversations are happening, and I'm looking at people's social feeds, and the ones who are brave enough, back when I had time to do this, are like, what do you think? I'll tell them what I think. I'm like, well, where are you in all of this? Who is this person? Because I know you in real life. This isn't you. Somebody, and I won't say who it is. I don't want to out people for their own stories, but someone who was desperately struggling to make ends meet, who had recently been divorced and is trying to find their identity, is in deep need of some healing. Every time they're on camera, I don't even recognize that person talking about their success and how they're at this company and doing big and amazing things. And I said, you know, you're not so likable when you're like that. But if you were just a level with the audience, like the way I know you, they would lift you up on their shoulders and they would support you when you fell down. So then I was thinking, do I see this pattern elsewhere? And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big comic book nerd or dork or geek, whatever it is. And I look at the characters that resonate most with me. And they're often not from the DC universe. They're from the Marvel universe because I'm a big Marvel guy. I look at characters like Peter Parker, and aka the Amazing Spider-Man, and he's the perfect character. He's probably the most iconic character from the Marvel universe. And he's a teenager. He can't keep a job. His boss hates him. He's constantly missing his dates with his girlfriend, soon-to-be wife. And he always does the right thing and almost always gets in trouble for it. He carries this big responsibility on his shoulder, but he doesn't act like captain of industry. He's not a billionaire. He's just the kid in the neighborhood who's trying to do the right thing. And then I think, okay, are there signs that the universe is telling us something, whether in fiction or nonfiction in real life or whatever. And I think it is telling us something. So the antidote to all of this fakery that's happening on the internet, I ask people to get in touch with the thing that you're most afraid of revealing about yourself. And we can do some inner work there. And they're like, Chris, where is this going to go? Why would I do this? This is going to be terrible. I'm like, because the journey of getting accepted begins with self-acceptance. And you haven't accepted yourself. Like a person, my theory is, who doesn't love themselves becomes very difficult to be loved by others.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Let's start with something vulnerable. And then somebody introduces me to Carl Jung's like shadow self. I'm like, oh, let me look at this. I know about him from the archetypes, and he takes a different point of view than Freud. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. And I want people to explore this. So when people do workshops with me, if I'm doing it right, Erica, people are crying, literally crying, like sobbing, crying.
I love that.
Not just a little eyelash in the eye. There's the long answer.
This is why I love you. This is why I was like, I have to talk to you, because you must know. Oh, it fucking touches my heart. It makes me so happy for the people that get to see you and work with you. You must know that it's not common.
I don't know.
You have to know. It's not. I'll tell you, it's not common.
Okay, you have to tell me then.
Like, it ain't common. Like, when I do keynotes, my goal, Chris, I'm like, we're going on a fucking adventure. Like, strap your seats. Like, if this chair can move, we're going to watch a movie. We're going to cry. We're going to laugh. We're going to say bad words. We're going to high five our neighbor. Like, I want you to fucking feel something. And the fact that you do a branding design, like, and they're crying and they're pulling the parts of them that are so vulnerable that they would never expose to their best friend, which that's a problem. And they're sharing it in a room of, a room of peers or strangers most times.
Strangers, yeah.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously they feel safe enough because I could be saying this totally wrong and I want to get into brand and like later, but like, because you are the brand, like you are the safe space, you are the example of the work, you are the cool, the fun, the accepting, the self-reflecting, you are it. So then when you're it, you attract these people that are like, I want to be it. And you're like, let's go. And they trust you to take them there. Like, it's not common.
I have to share the story with you, Erica. It's going to touch your heart.
Yes, I love that. Okay.
I'm speaking at a pretty intimate mastermind group. There's 100 people there. And I'm doing my talk on personal branding. You probably have seen it. I talk about this thing. Yeah. And it's for a bunch of people in the mortgage space. They're loan officers, mortgage brokers, they're realtors. Not my normal tribe. I'm doing my bit. And I have to say, I have all kinds of weird self-doubt before the thing. Like, am I in the right place? Like, who made the mistake and booked me? I finished the thing. Next morning, we're having a much smaller, like, brunch. And I'm sitting there kind of just hanging out. There's a much smaller group now. We're probably down to 25-ish people. This really big guy walks in the room, like big in stature and size and girth and all that stuff. He goes, Chris, I really loved what you said yesterday, but you got me thinking. I could not sleep because of you. I'm like, oh shoot, here it comes. He goes, no, I mean that in a good way. You had my brain turning last night. I literally could not sleep. Wow. And you said things that made me get in touch with who I am. And I can tell the man's about to break. And I say what I think I would want someone to say to me if I'm in that moment. And I say to him, it's okay. And he just started crying. Started crying. And then he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, please don't hold it back. It's not healthy for you. Just let it out. And then he just literally cried on my shoulder. I gave him a big hug. And I cherish that moment. I've told that story on stage the following year. And he came up to me. He's like, Chris, you shared our story. I'm like, he wasn't ashamed of it. And I love this. Wow. And I think, I might get in trouble for this, but I'm just going to risk it anyways. I think in modern culture, there's a certain kind of male toxicity about like how we have to be strong and courageous and show no emotions and all that kind of stuff. I say BS to that. And I think it's important for men among other men to say, like, it's okay. I don't judge you. But I do remember something in the far back of my mind growing up, boys don't cry. And then it became men do not cry. So that attacks at your own identity. So we've been repressing these things and that kind of culture, that kind of machismo. That's not good for
Yeah.
our mental and our physical health.
It's so toxic as well because you just don't. And it's so funny. I heard you on the interview talking about like how men see fights because you were going to fight this employee of yours. You were so angry, and how
Yeah.
women see fighting. And I was like, I always resonate with men's stuff. Like, and I'm very much a woman and I like my husband, but I have that like masculine energy. And it's like when you've been through traumatic things or when you've had to get into your masculine. And it's so interesting because I witnessed this. My husband does breath work and a lot of work with men. And, and he's like a normal dude. He listens to Drake like he's a dad, right? But like he does all this shamanic, beautiful stuff. And he says like men just don't have that emotional compass like we do. They're not in touch with that. And they haven't learned that. They've learned men don't cry. Men are providers. Men do this. And then we have all this shit going on, this toxicity. And like, I don't know. I feel like both sides need to give each other grace because I think you guys have not experienced as much of like men don't have best friends. Like the stats about men and best friends is wild to me. Like y'all don't hang out with your boys and cry about shit like we do. You don't go shopping and talk about all your stuff. Like it's so different for y'all, for men. So that's beautiful that he felt like he could do that with you. And I bet he could never do that with like a best friend. You know?
That's sad though, if that's
That's
true.
so sad. So
Yeah.
sad. Do you feel like, though, half of it is the responsibility of the individual who doesn't allow themselves or doesn't think that they need to go to those levels? And then the other side is the responsibility of his external environment.
I kind of prescribe to the thoughts of radical accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
That if you have agency, if you believe you have agency and free will, like you're not in a prison cell, you're not in solitary confinement, people aren't telling you what to do every single day. So I say you get a pass for a certain portion of your life, let's say up to like 2021-ish, you're free from
Yeah.
your parents, you're living on your own, you're doing certain things. There's only so much that you can blame people for before that finger has to point back at you.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we have to kind of really think about. Brian Cox, the star of Succession, was sharing a story from a different Brian Dennehy, before he passed. And he was very generous to me. And he was saying something, and I'm sharing what he shared, which was, all your life, you can blame people for everything. You can blame the teachers, blame the policemen, blame your parents, your siblings. Yeah. At some point, you run out of people to blame. And then you have to say, well, there's still one person left to blame, and that's me. And you kind of have to take ownership at some point. Sadly, some people don't come to that realization up until about 10 years before they pass away. So I just think, you know what? You can blame everybody. If that works for you, if it changes the outcome, let's blame more people. But in my experience, blaming people doesn't change anything. It just makes it more negative.
Yeah. How did you get to this place, though? So I don't know if this is true, but I know that your family was refugee. They came from Vietnam. Like crazy story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to link the podcast in the show notes because you have to listen to it, especially because, like you said, people think, oh, easy for you, Christo, la da da. You live in LA and you're like a baller and all this shit, right? They're like, people have no idea. And so I love that you shared your story from that point of view. But you talked about when you were 18, I think you had like a breakup and a dark night of the soul, which they're so delicious, even though they're horrific when you're in them. I think they're the best gifts for the world, right? Like it's so good.
Yeah.
How did you, a boy who came, with your siblings and your parents from Vietnam, how did you find the work? Did you find therapy? Did you do coaching? Did you get a book? Like, what was the thing that entered you into going, damn, like all I see in the mirror is the man looking back at me and I got to do some shit with him. Like it's me against me,
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. And you can tell me, no, babe, it's not that. It's this other thing. And, let's stop playing pretend psychologists here. It ain't work. So I'll just tell you something. Like for a long part of my life, I would say the first 20 years of my life, I was confused. I was unsure of myself. I always wanted to be somebody other than me. Back then, if somebody were to ask me, what would your secret power be? I'd like the power to be invisible. I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And I crawled into my introverted shell and I was like, I just wanted to like not matter. I just wanted to disappear. And it's a pretty sad way of looking at life.
So sad.
And I didn't like that about me. But then later on, I think I realized something in that kind of desire to be invisible, to be nothing. I think I got into my own brain. I was able to start to observe it and kind of be a witness to my own thoughts. And I haven't done a lot of therapy work. I think I've gone to about 10 sessions. They're super productive. Everyone was a masterclass in asking and listening and just powerful tools that I use this day. I don't meditate. People always ask me, my wife's like, you just don't meditate traditionally, honey. You can say it like that.
Yeah.
But I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
I'm just very aware of my own thinking. And I'm logical enough to say, you know what? Is that helping us right now? If it's not, do we want to continue down this way? And I've had these conversations with myself as early as I think 6 or 7 years old.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
some therapy. Have you had bad therapy?
I've only had one therapist, and it wasn't even for me. It was a family therapist because my son was acting up, and I was feeling like I was having dark thoughts as a parent, like I'm a bad parent.
Yeah.
I want to smack my son, and I don't want to do that, so I got to go get help right now.
Wow. Okay. Because I feel like people either binge, like a lot of people, and shout out to those who binge my podcast. They're 15-minute episodes. They're like loving bitch slaps from your big sister, on Bluetooth. Like, girl, believe in yourself. You got this. And it's just me yelling at them, right? But I love them. And I think that we love that. We love like some encouragement. We love watching people on social media. We love like the consumption and I feel like the worst thing we could say, and I don't say this because I know nothing. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, you don't fucking know. Like, you have data in your brain, but you don't have knowing, because knowing is like, I see the result in my life. And most of us just listen to things and we go, yep, I got that. And we don't have it. And so I love that somehow you worked out the thinking, and the introvertedness maybe got you to sit with yourself and question. I know you talked about suicide and all that as well, like questioning that. But then something in you made you go, I could either go that way and disappear, or I could prove my family, everyone who was against what I was wanting to do, wrong, and do it for myself. Something there. What do you feel like you reflect back on that and go, what was that? Like, what was holding me up? Like, what was taking me there instead of that way?
I think we can be motivated by a lot of different things. I'd like to be motivated by positive things, like the desire to become my best self versus like proving other people wrong. But sometimes that's the thing that starts the motor and it puts you in the right direction. I think I'm wired to like reduce things down to its like binary component. It's like, be the best person that you can be, or just don't even exist anymore. And I can reduce it down. I can map it forward in time and say, well, if you continue this behavior, where does that lead us? Where does that go? What is the ultimate version of that? And is that a place you want to be? And you may not know this about me, Erica, but I think you already know. I didn't know this, but I'm straight edge. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't swear. And I didn't even know that was a thing. And somebody said, you're straight edge. I'm like, I had to look it up. Like, what is that? What are you talking about? And because I think even at a young age, I'm like, where does the drinking thing lead us? Where does the smoking? Where does the doing drugs? What is the outcome? So I don't take step one unless I know kind of like I'm cool with step 100, because that's not leading me anywhere positive. As opposed to say like the opposite, which is exercise. Like, where does this go? I don't know, but I think I'll be healthier. I think I'll be more able to. And I'll be able to set an example for my family. I think that's a worthwhile pursuit. Let me do that for a while.
Do you feel like your dad had that thinking? That like, what are we doing now to the future? Because you said he was in the military. Was he in the military?
He was in the military. He thankfully didn't have to shoot or kill anybody, but he was in the military.
Yeah.
And he has a very zen way about himself too, like a deeply philosophical man who would often say things to me. And as a kid, I couldn't hear it, but as an adult, I hear it very clearly in my head. He would say things like, your life is long, your time to make it is short. So if you want to live a good life, you do the hard sacrificial work today, and then you can live the good life. But you could also take that same effort and spread it across time and never really achieve anything. Work kind of hard, but play harder, work hard, but not, so I like, it totally makes sense. So the first 5 years out of school, I worked like an animal there. I didn't take days off. I just did nothing but work, but it put me in a really good place, such that now that I have friends that are younger than me and older than me who are still just trying to figure out their life. And I got that sorted out.
Wow. So there are little seeds, I guess, if you will, that maybe your dad dropped, and they maybe started to sprout as you got older and as you got into the world and into school and into relationships and into seeing all of this, because I feel like when I look back at my life, I'm like, how come I'm not a drug addict on the streets, homeless in Boston? Like I could be in jail or dead, like for sure. I'm like, what was this thing? And for me, I struggle to find the thing that, like, similar to you, I could have just went that way, or I could have had this drive. And obviously we don't want to lose. And it's like, how do I build myself up? And it sounds like you had a season of, like, I hate the word hustle, but shit, that's what it is in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
There's
hustle.
that season of like, yeah, I'm going to make it happen. And that's a little lesson that you just shared now that your dad gave you. Like, you make it happen now so that later you have more ease. You can speak to Puerto Rican people who live in Australia for a couple hours, and you got your time. So thank you, Mr. Doe. Daddy, that's great. Okay, you got kids.
Can I get into something weird with you for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife is probably pretty far on the woo side, kind of this new age mysticism. And I'm a recovering Catholic, and I don't even know what I believe in, but I'm going to get a little woo on you, okay? Let's throw it out there.
Yeah.
I believe there are universal truths that exist, like it's like being broadcasted in the air. And some of us have the ability to tune in this information, this playbook, this philosophy of how to live and how to think, and we're able to grab it. Because I think it's strangely coincidental that Buddha, Jesus, the Dalai Lama, whoever these enlightened individuals are, come to the same freaking conclusion without even knowing the existence of each other. Right? And so my wife keeps saying, like, honey, I think you're reincarnated. I think you're this, you're that. I'm like, babe, I don't know if I believe in any of that. And I have certain thoughts. And then when I read about it in his book, when somebody's been studying something for 30 years, I'm like, I don't know this idea. So I just think all of us are capable of receiving this life code, whatever cheat code of, like, how to be happy, how to be abundant, how to live with joy and be generous. But I think our antenna is, like, not dialed in, and we have to, like, sync up to that. So just like the way you figured it out, and we're looking for the answer, I don't have an answer. Like, I don't know, it just seemed obvious to me. And it's probably because we're just tuning into that code. And I think that code exists everywhere.
I love that. My husband is a shamanic healer. So tell your wife, they can talk about all the woo. Like, that is super woo. Like, that's why I'm like, he listens to Drake and he's a dad. Like, he's a normal dude, like, not wearing a potato sack, but is fully on some wild stuff that you're just like, what? It's wild.
Yes.
I love that, though, because I do believe that, I genuinely believe that you're supposed to be who you are. And the minute you realize who you're supposed to be, it's like, oh, like, I don't know, not a game, but I'm like, I know exactly where I'm supposed to go, like what I'm supposed to do. I see it in my head, and then I just the day-to-day doing, and then it happens. And I'm like, aha, I'm following this path that I didn't know was there or didn't exist. And you become who it is that you want to be or who you're supposed to be here. And the journey is wild. You're a dad. Do you have 2 kids or one?
2 boys. Yeah.
2 boys. I got 2 boys as well. They're crazy. It's fun. So how old are your kids? And have you been able to share this with them? I know you mentioned a little bit about your son and, like, therapy. Like, have you been able to see the lessons that you've learned through life and business and overcoming everything and being able to pour that into them?
I guess technically they're not boys anymore because they're 20 and 18.
Oh my God, you have a 20-year-old.
I do. I mean, if you do the math, I'm 52, so, I didn't even start early, just for the record here, everybody, in case they're like, oh, he just had a child when he's like 15. No, I waited until I knew who I was and I could provide a stable family and all that kind of stuff. I have for some people, a shocking or surprising way of parenting, a philosophy on parenting. And I heard something from Sadhguru. I don't know if you know the yogi Sadhguru. Yeah. He said something like, children are born perfect, and it's just parents who ruin them. And so my thinking is very much the same, which is I want to do as little harm to my children as possible. And it's really weird because it's going to sound like, what? I think a lot of parents try to correct for the mistakes of their own childhood. And they try to guide their children. And you can almost see it's like, okay, the parent got rejected out of college or was suspended for something. And then now the kids must go to college. They must get a degree from an Ivy League school or something like that. It's always like, I couldn't do this. So I need you to do this. I made bad decisions in marriage. Now I'm going to force you to marry this other person and control you. And it's like, leave your kids alone. I feel like we individually had our shot, still have our shot. Let the kids figure out what their shot looks like. So I have very little expectations around children. I try to do as little to tell them what to do as possible. I think there's some clear boundaries, the non-negotiables. Like I said to them, there's no violence in this house. You cannot lay hands on each other. Okay. And we should try to practice these other things, but these are more suggestions. And I didn't force them to exercise. All I did was set up a home gym and work out. And then one day the plate's not where it used to be. I'm like, was my wife in here? Who's moving stuff around? And then some nights I hear the metal clanking on each other. I'm like, oh, somebody's working out. And then I can see the physical transformation happen. So I'm just trying to say, there's lots of tools and toys. Play with whatever you want. And I'll try I'm not perfect, to jump all over you if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
Because that's all. I just don't want you to get hurt. And I don't want you to hurt people. Other than that, you got to figure it out. So we had this very sobering conversation with my youngest. I said, if you make the wrong decision in your life, you could be homeless. I'm not going to bail you out. I need you to know that. I'm okay with you being homeless. I'm okay with you being filthy rich too. But this is your life. You get to do what you want.
It's so good when you're able to be kind of hands-free and allow them to move about and bump into walls and hurt themselves. And like, I'm always here, but I'm going to let you kind of discover, because similarly to what Sadhguru said, I think someone said that we teach them, like they learn fear, they learn to care what people think, they learn about all this crazy stuff. Actually, on the podcast, I'm doing a thing about helping my kid with anxiety and worry, because my 9-year-old started getting anxiety. And like, I had to check myself, Chris, because I was like, oh, what are you making that mean about you? Ooh. And I was like, doesn't mean anything about me because I'm not 9 years old. Like, I didn't give a shit about school at all. And so the cool thing was, and what I kind of shared in the episode was what you just said. Don't tell your kids what to do. Like, model who to be. Who are you being? They're not going to listen to what we say. They're going to see who we're being. They're going to learn that from us because we're the guardian of, like my kids don't belong to me. I'm bringing them into the world. I'm guiding them, but they're not mine. Like, they might go off and who knows what, So yeah, I always wonder how people like yourself parent, because, it's hard having a business, a beautiful relationship with your partner, and then raising children in this world. It's like, how do we do all these things? And I always wonder about your kids are older now though. So like the work-life integration, because there's no balance, I feel. Mm-hmm. What do you feel about that? Like do you feel the same?
I do feel the same. And I'm going to go back to this because I'm going to get some, I already know I'll get some heat from this. It almost sounds like my style of parenting is absentee parenting, because I'm saying you get to do what you want. I was having a conversation with my cousin who has a younger child, and I don't know how it came up, but he asked me something like, how did your kids do so well or something like that? And I said, here's the crazy thing. I've never looked at my son's report cards. I've never checked in on his homework. I've never reminded him to do homework, yet they get A's and they've gotten into really good schools and they just do their own thing. And I think that's the difference between how I was raised versus how I raised my own children. It was always the fear of my mom and dad being disappointed or punishing me for not getting straight A's. So I did the work, but it was never for me. And it was really important for me as a parent, for my kids to be intrinsically motivated. We kind of asked our children to play the piano for a number of years. After that, they get to decide. So that was the barter they made. My oldest decided to stay with it. He still practices the piano on a daily basis, and he's very good at playing. My youngest has not touched the piano since. But he's now really into art and design, runs his own business. And the funny thing is, we are, I think, in age, like 30 years apart. Yeah, 34 years apart. But some of his friends and clients are the people that I coach. I'm like, this is weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like they get to be whoever they want to be. So one wants to be a writer and he's studying philosophy and writing. And the other one is just going to study art and design. And I'm like, whatever you want. That's what you get to do in this life.
Gosh. That is so cool. It's beautiful. And I think, I don't know, I think that's Dr. Gabor Mate. I did some work with him and he's amazing. And he talks a lot about like allowing your children to be and making sure you don't helicopter parent and like put your shit onto them basically. And if you're listening to this and wondering if you are, you probably are. So have a look at that. Like we do. This is what we do if we're unconscious about it. So I love that you have that philosophy about parenting because I think it's really beautiful. So I have young ones, and I think for me, boys especially, I thought I would have girls, and I'm so happy that I don't have girls in 2024. No offense, but like TikTok and whew, like it's very scary, this world of like internet and social media and all of that. Are you very active when it comes to, I know you're on LinkedIn and you're everywhere, and we're going to link everything in the show notes so you guys can find him. But when you look at people building brand right now and building their businesses or building a personal brand, do you feel like right now is easier, or do you feel like it's harder than when someone like yourself started and we didn't have all of these platforms?
I don't think any of us are even having this conversation of building a brand pre-internet and then pre-social media, because the powers that be, the gatekeepers, the publishers, HarperCollins, Penguin Books,
Yeah.
Random House, they get to decide who's going to be the influencer by saying, yeah, we will publish your book. And the means to distribution and access to an audience base is really non-existent. Like when I like, just everybody remember, I'm 52. So when I'm growing up, there are like three major channels, right? Three major channels. And then there were magazines galore and different news outlets, but they had controllers and gatekeepers. And if you didn't sound right, if you didn't look right, if you didn't say the right things and meet the right people, no one's going to give you light of day. It used to be that we would have to chase, and not that I'm not interested in them, like Fast Company or Entrepreneur or Success Magazine or Wired to feature us somehow. It's like we're begging at the doorsteps. I don't need that. I literally can write something, and if it's written well and I do what I need to do, it can get in front of the right people, and I have the same level of authority. At least my thinking is out, and that's all that mattered to me anyway. So, you know, what is the circulation of a person who's got like 1 million followers versus, say, the circulation or the reach of a magazine, especially today, you know, apples to apples. So I think it's pretty wonderful. But that raises a whole lot of new questions like, who am I? And now we're having to, I guess, if we elect to play the game, to kind of grow up in public. And this could be very difficult because we can make really bad decisions in our kind of not fully formed adult brain that will come back to potentially haunt us. I think we need to be very mindful of this.
I think it's so interesting. When I watched your workshop talking about owning the parts of you that maybe you weren't so proud of or you don't love, and then combining all those words together, I thought about the day that I lost my shits, like I didn't care. Like the day in Australia that I was like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican. I wear bamboo hoops. Like, these are my nails. There's Swarovski crystals on my nails. Like, I am that chick in Boston that's like that's me. And in Australia, I was like, you know, I was like wearing cardigans and like hair extensions really long, no red lipstick, like trying to be this, I don't know, white Australian person and blend in. And I remember the day that I posted a video and I was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And this is me. And the freedom that like came from that. And it reminds me of when you do these workshops and you give people, I feel like they cry because they don't have to carry the lie that that thing is bad. And they can just accept that little bit of self-acceptance that no one's ever given them. They haven't given themselves. Do you feel like there is a way for people now, because a lot of people ask me, how do you share your story? Like, how do you share who you really are, the truth of you, without looking like you want to, like I heard this metaphor where it's like, if you're still bleeding from the wound, you don't like go to your audience and bleed on them, right? You have to have like a scar and you tell your story from the scar. Like, how do you see people doing this online as a business, like when they're starting their business, trying to be the brand and share their story?
If you have unresolved trauma, you have to be careful because people call it trauma dumping. And then there's this other term that I've learned by hanging out with my therapist friends, which is triggering. So let's just say you've had a violent episode in your life and you're not fully through it and you talking about it. It's just because you want, I think, a lot of pity and a lot of people bonding around trauma. And it's not really going to help you. They're actually going to stay there possibly longer. And then it's going to accidentally hit someone who's like very fresh in their wound. And it kind of triggers PTSD for them. And it's too much. And so I think the expression that you were talking about is it a scab or is it a scar? A scab is not fully healed. It can bleed out again. If it's a scar, it's potentially even stronger than its original wound, and you can start talking about it. But there's a different take on all of this stuff. I think when you're ready to tell your story, it's going to be very hard for everybody who knows you as a certain thing for then all of a sudden you to do this 180. It's almost like you're doing a gender reveal. So it's too much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I teach storytelling, I teach people about creating transitions. Otherwise, you have a hard cut. And hard cuts are very jarring. Now, I don't know if you know this, but when you go and watch a movie, let's just say like back when you watched movies in theaters, how often were you aware there was a cut? Do you remember?
I mean, I
remember.
love film. I love
Yeah.
film. I feel like when I'm 60 or 70, I'll probably go become a director. I just fucking love point of views in film.
Yeah.
So I watch that, but I don't know if people would notice. Do you feel like they notice?
Well, they're not supposed to. So here's the point. Back when they used to actually project light through celluloid, those reels would only last so long. And I know this because I'm an industry guy, that there was these red dots or something that would appear in the lower right corner that would tell the projection as, get ready to flip the switch on the next reel. And so that last scene would be like a slow pull out, a reveal or something. The dot would flash one time. On the second dot, that's when they're supposed to hit cut. And the other one is rolling. So it's a seamless transition. But because I'm so trained, I would see that. I'm like, oh, they're about to change reels. Now everything's digital. Okay. So you don't see that. But in a poorly crafted film, you'll notice every time there's a hard cut. When in fact, many films have hundreds of cuts and you don't notice them at all, because they were set up properly. Okay, they were set up properly with sound and music and editing and color so that it just flows from moment to moment. Because every time the cut happens, you forget that you're not living inside of a dream, that you're actually sitting in an air-conditioned theater with a bunch of strangers. And that breaks the illusion. So this is important to know, because you can think of it as you have a story, you're the director of this film, and if you abruptly cut from one chapter of your life, like the good girl, the Stepford wife, and then next thing you know, you're a punk rock lesbian, everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? It's very jarring. It pulls them out of your story. Okay?
Yeah.
So far, so good? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just stream of consciousness. If I say things that are offensive, I'll ask for forgiveness later.
Well, I love
Okay. So what you want to do, and this is what I would do as a person who's creating a story, what I would do is plant the seed. Okay. So for example, when the little girls were playing when you're like 7 or 8, they were into Barbie. You were into like just making your own doll with like a patch over their eye and pulling their hair out because you thought that was cool. And so we're planting the seed of a story reveal that's about to come. So you just keep doing this. You're building it up. So in real life, you're like, okay, I've been fake. I don't want to be this. I'm going to be this person. What we want to do, we want to build a bridge to that. So we tell the mildest version of the story first. And then we increase in intensity such that by the time we get to this other story, people don't go saying to you, oh my God. They say something weird, which was all designed by you. They say, of course, I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to go here. I could predict that about you because you're dropping clues. That's how you do it. So when people hear this, all vulnerable self, embrace it, put out all your ugly stuff, and they do that, and the world reacts in a very negative way, you're like, it didn't work, Chris. Now, everyone's laughing at me and no one respects me anymore. It's like, well, you didn't do the workshop. You didn't do the work with me. So I can't guarantee output or the outcomes. So we just try a little bit and we can build up to it until you're fully embraced and you're ready to go. I'm like, that's it.
Yeah. And there's nuances to it, which is what you obviously teach inside of these workshops and in your programs that you run. And I think it's so many people right now. Would you say that today, the most searched thing around you right now would be personal brand? What do you feel that people right now versus from before are asking Chris Do about?
I think it's becoming more personal brand than it was. And I'm not sure because most of our content is not around personal branding. It's around pricing, negotiations, business.
Yeah.
Like if you literally search, this is hilarious because I saw this somewhere and then I tested it myself. It's true. If you type in bald Asian guy glasses talks money, my face will come up right away.
Oh my God. I love that. Do you know, I Google like
That's how
what I
strong, I guess, that search string is now. Because they're like, who is that bald guy, Asian, who talks about money and pricing? My face will come up.
Oh my God.
It would need some time for it to become personal branding. Chris Do, like Google, may I help you? And then I'll hear that, but not yet. Cool. I think I got some work to do.
Okay, well, my algorithm is giving me all of it because all my YouTube is now brand.
Right, it feeds you what you want, right?
I know, but I love it. And I put you in I did a talk for this group of women in business and I put a slide up of you. And usually when it's all women, like we talk about women. And you were there with your Pharrell vibes. And I'm like, do you all know this man? And they were like, oh yeah, we know who he is. And we're like, yeah, like he's so cool.
Oh, wow.
And it was called How to Stand Out from the Crowd and Take Up Space Unapologetically. And I think like, yeah, and I talked about X Factor and like, what the hell is X Factor? And I didn't know what to ask you this, but I feel like you got X Factor. I feel like I got some X Factor. There are people who I feel like have X Factor. And obviously we're different, but what do you define X Factor as in someone that's maybe a personal brand?
Okay, it's a tough one because this term has been used a lot. And I think we know what it is. It's hard to define though. Like usually on the America's Got Talent, they're like, if you look up in the dictionary, we would find a picture of you, but we can't tell you what it is. We kind of know it when we see it, right? And there's this phrase, and I hope I'm saying this right, but I'm kind of loving this phrase now, is that being different or being weird is better than being better. So our whole culture, society has been focused on doing something incrementally better, but better than the other previously better thing isn't really going to stand out. That the way to stand out is to do something different, to be weird. Like Liquid Death. That's weird. That's different. It's not another French bottled water company. It's totally weird. It's in a can. There's a skull. And it's like, why would I want to drink anything with the word death and skulls on it? And it says, murder your thirst. And it's like, that's weird. And that's different. So I can say X Factor, I think, is everybody's this way. One thing that you do is different, and it incorporates, like, it's the whole self. Again, it's an integrated self that we're looking for, all of you, not just some of you.
I really love that. I love that. And I think, I don't know if it's a look or a vibe or a feeling, but I feel like the more you tune into who you are, and it's so funny, you said the self-acceptance and self-awareness. And I say like self-awareness, self-reflection, self-acceptance, right? And that's like, to me, like self-mastery. And the more that you accept you, right? And you know what you like and you know who you are, I feel like the more you find your style and your acceptance visually. I was in the military for 10 years, which is a whole other freaking discussion. Wow. And then I became a hairdresser. While I was at hair school, just ridiculous.
Some hobbies you got
my
there,
military. Huh? Yeah, like I'm a Gemini crazy person, which also like, I just love all the things at once. And so 9 to 5 in my army suit in Orlando, Florida, wearing my, military pajamas. And then at night I went to hair school. And then I came to Australia and I became a stylist, like dressing, right? And now I do the internal confidence work, which I think is more important. But I love the flavor, right, that you have and the way that you dress and look. And it is a statement. I feel it is a part of of course, your brand, but also your X factor and also what you stand for and who you're willing to be. And so one of my clients is a designer. And she said, I was like, I'm interviewing Chris Do. And she was like, oh, he's not really an introvert though. And I was like, what do you mean? Because he is. But because of the way that we look and perceive whatever, like, can you speak to that style externally and what you think that does for you and for others who end up finding their visual external, it's like design, right? But from a human on their self.
So here's the thing. I think if you look at anything from a certain lens, you only see the tip of the iceberg. And to predict what lies beneath the waterline is to not really understand anything. You have to go deeper to then understand what is being done on the top. I saw this gentleman speak. His name is Errolson Hugh. He's the founder of a company called Acronym. They make technical apparel. He's like the godfather of the technical apparel thing. All this like ninja clothing stuff. He was the godfather of it. I saw him speak. I've been fortunate enough to like meet him and talk to him at length. And he was saying this thing. He goes, you know what? What people do is they copy the things that other people do. He goes, don't copy what they do. Copy how they think, and you'll find your own expression of that. Like if I make certain clothes, right? And it's like this asymmetrical thing, somebody will then cut their clothes to be asymmetrical. But what the thinking is, I'm interested in exploring X, Y, and Z, and the expression of which is putting a zipper here and doing this, then you'll find your own way. So copy the thinking. Yeah. So your friend is making an observation that's not looking yet deep enough underneath the surface. I'm an introvert, and I've told people this, and I have some anxiety around being around strangers. I don't really know how to just walk into a room and talk to somebody. So I just stand awkwardly by myself until I can figure out some weird trick so I can go talk to somebody. Otherwise, I just sit there by myself. And so I thought, well, if I started to dress differently, maybe they'll talk to me. So it's some form of like, hey, if I can have a conversation starter piece, then someone will walk up and say, hey, I like your shoes, or that's an interesting color, or I didn't. So it started to work for me. And if something works, I just lean more and more into it. And then it accidentally becomes part of like how people associate with me. And so you have to be careful too, because the paint, the hat, the nails becomes part of your identity. And then when you do something different, people can't accept you as that person anymore. Both good and bad. Your branding is so strong. They don't want to see you like that anymore. And in Hollywood, we call that playing to type or playing against type, right? Like Brad Pitt rarely plays a sniveling, weak, anti-hero, coward, evil villain. Because we just don't accept him. He's just too good looking. That's the problem. And he's kind of charming in his own way. So we just can't see him like that. But Gary Oldman is in films that we can't even tell who he is because he's a chameleon. So it's good for him to get lots of kind of roles, but it's bad for him. Like we don't even know who Gary Oldman is because he can be so many different things. In the realm of real life, I think when you start to make intentional decisions about how you show up, your tone of voice, you tell your origin story, how you dress, it's how people notice you. And it's important for me as a designer to have a clearly recognizable personal brand that even in the darkness with a little bit of light behind me, if you know me, then you'd be able, I think that's a guy. I think that's that guy.
Him. And
it works. And it works really well.
Well, it's so funny. I know you as the hat guy. I don't know you as the bald. So when I see you without your hat, I'm like, who's that? Oh, yeah, there he is. I can see him. But it's literally like, I would say that's a second type or whatever you would say, because I feel like how you presented today, thank you very much for dressing as you do, because it's like, that's Christo. I did a podcast with Christo. There he is. It's like, and then you shift and change. But I do think, I don't know, we have to talk again, because the second book I'm writing is about magnetism. And I feel like you are a magnetic person. And that has nothing to do with being loud and crazy. It's, I feel you before I even see you. Like, ooh, I can feel you in the room. You know what I mean? Like, you have that. And it's not to be woo, but it's energy. It's a vibe. It's that flavor,
Yeah. And I want to address something real quick so that people understand. You don't just wake up one day and it all just comes together. It's an evolution. You try different things. Okay. So I have a bald head. I have oily skin. And my team is always worried, like, oh, the lighting, it's still shiny. And I'm like, yes, that's what happens when you have oily skin and you have a bald head. And they're trying to work around that. I'm like, would it be easier if I just wore a cap? Like, yes, please think, oh my God, they're trying to be kind to me. I wear the hat and I'm doing this now. I'm like, okay. So sometimes I wear the cap, sometimes I don't. And then eventually I wear the cap enough where people are like, hey, I have a cap company. Can I send you a couple of caps? Okay. I wear that cap and like, oh my gosh, we love that cap. Where did we get that cap? And then it just becomes a thing. So much so that when I go out in public, I'm like, whew, let me take off this hat. They're like, no, please. We need you to look a certain way. And I ask them, literally, I'm like, cap, no cap, I don't care. Like I was feeling a little dry that day. It wasn't super glossy because I don't want to gross myself out here, And they're like, no, we need to see. Like if I take off my glasses, you're like, no, put the glasses back on. I'm like, okay.
But it's cool. It's, what it is? It's a character. And I don't know what you think about this, but like my husband had a gym called Alter Ego, and he's obsessed with superheroes, obsessed with Superman, had a whole traumatic experience where he became a savior and rescuer for his brother. And then his dad was like, you're the man of the house. And he was like 9 years old, like, okay. And it just, Superman came to life and he started rescuing damsels in distress, and he had all that. And then of course I was not a damsel in distress anyway. So he had this whole thing about superheroes, and he built a gym called Alter Ego, and he would help his clients create an alter ego. This is we didn't know about Todd Herman's book, Alter Ego Effect. We didn't know about any of it. And so my husband Hamish created this process that I then stole for my coaching clients and called it an Alter Shigo. And it's so cool. And I was like, who's your Alter Shigo? Who's your Sasha Fierce? And when I named my company the Queen of Confidence, I'm like, I'm not the Queen of Confidence. She's like who I believe we are as women. Like, we're all queens. We're all amazing, blah, blah, blah. And so when I put the hat on and I put the nails on and I get on stage, like, I am become the Queen of Confidence. And it's like an alter shigo. Do you feel like you have an alter ego, or is it just like you became the alter ego?
That's a very good question. I don't know if I've thought of it like that. Let me just, I believe in what you're saying, that if we didn't have to live with the history of our past, and we can choose to become the person we'd like to be. Oftentimes that shows up in Halloween. So we dress up and we have these fantasies, whether it's to be a certain type of person or another type of person. We give ourselves permission as a society to be whoever we were supposed to be for one day. But I think that's kind of a perverted way of looking at it. It shouldn't be the opposite, where 364 days, you're exactly who you're supposed to be. And one day you're not that person. We've got this flipped around. So I think sometimes when you change the clothes, your physical appearance changes. So then you tell yourself, I can be this person. And for now, I think, I hope this doesn't sound judgy, but they're props that we use to trigger a certain kind of thought. We get into character, right? If you're acting, you're getting into character. And I think it's good to just train our brain for a little while. But then we don't want it to be like without the hat, without the nails or the glasses. I'm not me. I'm always me. Or I'm 100%. Always trying to be the meest me that I can be. And these other things are just signals to other people so they can recognize you.
Yeah, I like that. And the little controversial thing was, like, I saw Beyonce interview BET and she was like, I can't do what Sasha Fierce can do. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, and I wasn't trying to be mean, but I'm like, you are Sasha Fierce and maybe you're pretending to be Beyonce. Like Clark Kent, like he's Superman. His alter ego is, like he actually is that. And he's pretending to be a basic ass dude that works. You know, like maybe, I don't know. I love you, Beyonce, but maybe you really are Sasha Fierce, but like it's not accepted in the Southern upbringing of how your family raised you. And like, how dare you be like, I don't think you're ready for this jelly all the time. I don't know. Maybe you're like, maybe that's who you are. And we have to pretend. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about that because I know you like superheroes.
Yeah, we play this game like, who is the real person and who's the alter ego?
Yeah.
Kal-El is the real person. That's Superman for you non-nerds.
Yeah.
Clark Kent is who he pretends to be to not scare humans. The real question is it Bruce Wayne or is it Batman? Who's the real one and who's the alter ego? What do you think about that?
Oh, that's tough. I always think that the normal version is not, but that could be like the shadow. That could be like, you know what? Batman could be his unhealed real self that just needs a little bit of psychotherapy and breath work. And then he won't be so dark. But I feel like it's always Batman. It's always Spider-Man. It's always like the character they play, I feel like is usually them.
But I think Batman is really who he is. He pretends to be a playboy billionaire as Bruce Wayne so that he can be left alone to do his work, his genius work. Peter Parker, on the other hand, Spider-Man is just who he has to hide from, so his real identity isn't hurt. But he is the boy with a golden heart. He's the one who carries responsibility. It really is him, I believe, and he has to be Spider-Man to throw people off the scent. And so it's interesting that we look at certain characters like, who's the real person? My theory on Beyonce and Sasha Fierce is none of them are her. I think she's somewhere in between. And I think in polite society, she can't be a diva as much as Sasha Fierce is. And to be openly sexual or powerful or to like money or fame, because we're just told you can't do that. And so she battles. And one day, one of those two personalities will win and the real person will step up.
Oh, will a real Slim Shady please stand up? Right. I like it. This is, that should be Cardi B. I used to actually call myself the Cardi B of personal development just because like I wanted people to understand that this was going to show up. But obviously, there's so many things about Cardi B that I'm like, no, I don't. Like, God bless you. But
you're a former exotic dancer?
Yeah, I was like, you crazy. But like, sometimes we channel these little pieces. Chris, I love this discussion and I love how like left field and weird, because I know you talk to a lot of like graphic designers and people in the graphics world, and I am obsessed with typography and design and the way things look, and I love that shit so much. I'm not good at it, but I like saying what I like and the visuals. But honestly, like your work is impacting other industries and different people, and just you being you and the way that you show up and the unapologeticness and how much you give yourself to us it's amazing. So just keep doing what you do, my friend. And now I'm going to go buy your book. And like,
you don't have to buy it. Next time I'm in Australia, I'll just bring you a copy.
I'm coming to see you. I'm coming to America. So I'm going to be like, dude, Pasadena, where you at? I'd love to catch up. How do people find you? Like the designers that are listening and they want to work with you. They want to learn from your genius. I know you have courses. Where can people find you and consume you and become a fan of your work?
Okay. The best single thing I can tell them to do is if they have their business somewhat in order and they want to go to the next level, I would recommend them looking into the Future Pro Group. This is my coaching community. I think we're 430 people. It grows and it shrinks.
Wow.
It does all kinds of things. It's a wonderful, diverse community of people from all time zones, literally all time zones, mostly creative, but not all. We have a couple like consultants. We have accountants. It's kind of like this weird mix of people who share a love for being intentional about how we move in the world. So my accountant, the guy who's in there, he's super creative. He's a designer in my mind. He tells me he's a frustrated designer, and I think you're a designer too. It's not that we move type around, but it's that we appreciate the harmonies of things coming together to create a more idealized state. That's design.
Yes.
So,
oh my God, I love
the Future Pro Group. Please look into it. It's a paid coaching community. I hope to find you also on the mean streets of social media. I'm at the Chris Do. That's D-O.
And on LinkedIn. You be killing it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a tough place. But you're doing it and you show up a lot. So thank you so much. And also your YouTube channel where you have so much and you give so much around sales, business growth, like your whole strategy and your thought process around sales, incredible. So if you're in business, go check out Chris. Chris, thank you so much, my friend. You are freaking amazing.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you so much for listening. I freaking love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your ears and your energy and your attention. Thank you for letting me into your world. And thank you so much for listening and tuning in to this podcast. There are so many podcasts you can listen to, and I deeply, deeply, for real, appreciate you listening to mine. Do me one big favor, one big thing. Please share this episode or this podcast with a woman who you know needs to hear this. This is my mission on planet Earth, to serve as many women as possible so that we could show up, stand up, speak up, and create the confidence and the life that we desire. I appreciate you, my love. I will see you on the next episode.